Tune into Nice Radio every Saturday at 7:30 a.m. for A View from the Outside, hosted by Brereton Horne. A View from the Outside takes a look at key issues affecting St Vincent and the Grenadines and gives a global perspective on how these issues are viewed. Host Brereton Horne will examine a variety of topics to enlighten, stimulate debate, and explore solutions. Hear the facts, hear the real-life stories, hear A View from the Outside. Join Brereton Horne at 7:30 a.m. every Saturday on Nice Radio for A View from the Outside.
On A View from the Outside this week being the 17th of August 2019, we look at youth, Y-O-U-T-H, youth, with the view being that the youth in St Vincent and the Grenadines need to be the scriptwriters of their own destiny and the stars that show the way to a brighter future for St Vincent and the Grenadines. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines youth as a time of life when one is young or a young person. That definition of youth is quite wide, and perhaps because of that, different organizations have a different age range to define what youth is. The United Nations Secretariat, UNESCO, and the ILO give the age range of a youth as 15 to 24 years. The United Nations Habitat Youth Fund states that a youth is someone in the age range of 15 to 32. And the African Youth Charter says that a youth is someone in the age range of 15 to 35. In view of those three different age ranges of youth, we, on A View from the Outside, for the purpose of this program, have chosen to adopt the age range of that stated in the African Youth Charter, that is 15 to 35. And so this program today, in this program today, we speak specifically to the youth, the young people who are 15 to 35 years old. We want to make the point, though, that the program today, as always, is for everyone of all ages, although we speak specifically to the youth who are between 15 to 35. And we make that point because you all, you as in the listeners, all have or know someone in that age range. And you all also have a significant contribution to make to the development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In 1999, the General Assembly of the United Nations endorsed the recommendation made the year before to declare the 12th of August International Youth Day. Since then, the 12th of August has been commemorated as International Youth Day. As part of the focus, youth around the world are encouraged to organize activities and to raise awareness of the situation of youth in their own country. Earlier this week, on Monday the 12th of August, 2019, that was International Youth Day, with the theme being transforming education, and with the focus on encouraging youth to take on the responsibility to highlight issues which impact on their lives in their own country and around the world. While it is clear that the United Nations is making significant efforts to get the youth around the world to become involved in activities and in discussion on issues affecting them and their country, it is with much chagrin, much displeasure, that the voice of the youth in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is conspicuously missing from any discourse taking place. Many believe that such occurrence is not accidental. Many believe that the regime in St Vincent and the Grenadines has actively stifled and snuffed out the voice of the youth in the country. Many believe that the formation of youth organizations around the country has not been actively encouraged by the regime. In fact, many say that the regime controls and micromanages everything, thus ensuring that they control the narrative. It is said that the National Youth Council, the youth organization which was responsible for the educational and social development of many youths in St Vincent and the Grenadines, and also for the unearthing of many young leaders in the country, was stifled and snuffed out by the current regime. It must be said here that even though, as is believed, the current regime in the country does what it can to stifle the voice of the youth, it is incumbent on the youth themselves to ensure that their voices are heard. There are many examples of youths around the world who have taken the initiative and who, against all odds, are making their voices heard on the national and international stage and on national and international issues. There's a young Pakistani female activist, Malala Yousaf. She is an advocate for human rights and particularly for the education of women and children. In 2012, at the age of 15, she was shot and she almost died. At the age of 17, at the time, she was the youngest ever Nobel Prize laureate. She's now 22 years old, and she's still letting her voice heard around the world, advocating for education for women and young girls. There's also Greta Thunberg of Sweden. She's now 16 years old. At the age of 15, she started protesting outside of the Swedish parliament to get the politicians in her country to take action in respect of the effect of climate change. Her action has spread worldwide, and millions of young people around the world are now involved in activities pertaining to climate change and to the improvement of climate change, the cause of climate change in their country. There is also the 17-year-old developer, George Hofstetter, from Oakland, California. In the wake of police brutality and the murder of black people, he developed an app to help to protect black people from meeting the tragic fate of people like Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Eric Garner, and others. He now has his own company called George Hofstetter Technologies Incorporated, where they integrate social justice and technology and are changing the world's perspective while doing so. Of his company, he said, "I started this company in the hope to elevate my community." He is now a successful businessman. Those are just three of the many examples of young people around the world who have made an impact internationally. It is worthy to note that there are many other youths around the world who make a significant contribution to the discourse in their own country. And it is here that we, on A View from the Outside, are now encouraging you, the youth of St Vincent and the Grenadines, to make a start. It is time that you, as a Vincentian youth, take the responsibility to ensure that you protect your own future and the future of the country. As a youth, do not allow yourself to be cowered into submission and silence, where you are afraid to speak out on the issues affecting you, your people, and your country. As a youth, do not let anyone hoodwink and bamboozle you with short-term gifts and unfulfilled promises. As a youth, you have to let your voice be heard. As a youth, you have to speak out. As a youth, you must speak out on the poor state of healthcare in the country. The poor state of healthcare is affecting you and everyone around you. As a youth, you must speak out about the state of high unemployment in the country, especially when youth unemployment is nearing 50%. And you must speak out, even if you yourself are in employment. Don't be selfish. Speak up for your fellow Vincentians who are in need of employment. The more people in work means a better, healthier, and stronger St. Vincent and the Grenadines for all. Everyone needs to speak up for each other. As a youth, you need to speak up about the other young people in the country who are made to subject themselves and undergo degrading situations to those of power and influence in order to try to get the job. As a youth, you must speak out against injustice. Do not let the likes of Yogi Farrell, Zinga, Michelle Andrews suffer at the hands of the establishment and its enablers without you objecting to such injustice. As a youth, speak out against human trafficking. As a youth, speak out against the degrading treatment of a group of young girls referred to as the Parliament girls who allegedly have to offer sexual favors to powerful men and influential men for their financial survival. As a youth, you need to recognize the lynching of bigger bigs and speak out against it. Speak out against it so that you, your family, your friend, or your fellow Vincentian do not suffer a similar fate. As a youth, you need to speak out against the inadequate sporting facilities in the country. And you need to ensure that you do not fall for the usual promise of improved sporting facilities just because election looms. Be mindful that in 2001, before some of you were born, the current regime promised a national stadium at Diamond. Be mindful also that they even boasted that they already received the money from Colonel Gaddafi of Libya to build that stadium. Question the whereabout of that money, especially when you have no stadium. As a youth, you must not let the discussion and debate on the issue of procurement pass you by without speaking out on it and demanding accountability from the regime. As a youth, you cannot allow yourself to be fooled on the issue. You need to spot corruption when you see it and not be bamboozled and hoodwinked by spin and flowery language. As a youth, you will know that information is readily available. It is available on your smartphone or any electronic device which you have access to. Use it to educate yourself and others. As a youth, you have to educate yourself. Do not, and I emphasize, do not let them take your mind. As a youth, you must recognize the power of your voice and your pen and your fingers. Get involved and speak out. Write newspaper articles. Start a blog. Start today. As a youth, we, on A View from the Outside, encourage you to take the opportunity to educate the elders if you must. Seek their advice and assistance. Seek the opportunity. Seize the opportunity. Follow the examples of young people around the world. Just do it. We also encourage you to be edified and fortified by the words of Nelson Mandela, and even in death, help him to fulfill his wish. He said, and I quote, "To the youth of today, I have a wish to make. Be the scriptwriters of your destiny and feature yourselves as stars that showed the way towards a brighter future." Unquote. Youth of St Vincent and the Grenadines, we encourage you to get started. Until next week, Justin and all of the listeners, this is Brereton Horne with A View from the Outside, with a reminder to send your feedback as usual to aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. You can also get us on our Facebook page at A View from the Outside and on YouTube at JMB Horne and on Vibes Caribbean.